anybody have a sign-in sheet?
It doesn't matter, I wasn't going to speak anyway.
Huh?
I wasn't going to speak anyway.
Oh. Where's the sign-in sheet?
I couldn't find them. So I had the clipboards, and they were not on there. I
Well,
thought
you need a sign-in sheet, people have to sign it.
well,
Yeah, print one.
I said, hello. I can't. I tried finding it on my printer. On the computer before.
I agree.
Oh, boy.
Life is a party.
Yeah, it is. Full of surprises.
How you doing, Bob?
Hi, John. Fine. I'll stay up.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, not good morning. It's good afternoon this time, isn't it?
Good afternoon, yeah. Hopefully you'll be out of here before good evening.
I don't have much to say at this time. I don't know what Steve's got.
Yeah.
At this time, unless something would come up that I'm unaware of, but I think we should be pretty much ready to go. We got some minutes to approve.
How you doing now, Mr. Yeager?
Good. How are you? Good. Good. Greg, how are you? Greg?
Great.
No, actually, this is part of the new text also can be looked over. So it doesn't come will be used up through all of this.
So this is your text knowledge, which I that picture of So they can't be used for anything.
Correct.
Right?
only two can speak.
I'm not.
How's your wife's doing?
Hanging in there.
No, you don't want to speak.
Nothing to say.
This is the beginning. And that's such one's going to happen because obviously everything's to be used. Yeah, I mean, so that gets back.
So that takes care of it.
Right.
Yeah, well, we find it. Yeah, that's the way we normally do it. Of course. You want to stay for her again?
Oh, no, I'm fine. Thank you, though. Thank you.
Where's Greg?
I can't get a pen that works.
I want to book one.
Okay, 1:30. I got a form here.
no flag, that's
Oh, we don't have a flag.
there's one outside of it.
Okay, outside.
No, it's over
No,
there.
it's over there.
It's over here.
Okay.
It's
I
outside.
pledge allegiance to the
There's
flag
some.
of the United States of America.
To the republic for which it stands,
One nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, clerk, where'd you go?
You want to grab the flag off the closet? Do a roll call.
Let's do a roll call, do it. Bob Anderson.
Here,
Mike Rakestraw, currently not here. Craig Adams here. Steve, James Motel is here. Steve Beer is not here yet. And Dan Wojcicki.
here.
Okay, public comment, limited 3 minutes, anybody? Okay. Roll call, Mr. Bear just came in. Get that 2 minutes. Okay. Approve the Approve the minutes from April 19th meeting. These were done by Mr. Motel.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for the April 19th meeting as presented.
I'll second that motion. Any conversation, discussion? None being heard, roll call vote. Mr. Ashton?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Mr. Wojcicki?
Yes.
Meeting is April 26, 2021.
I've not had a chance to read this. Can we hold off a couple of minutes so I go through this? Sure. Thank you. Here.
Mr. Rakestraw just showed up. Got that from me.
Do we need him in that vote?
No, he wasn't in there.
Okay.
Well, Bob's reading that, any discussion? We've gone through this budget packet pretty much a million times.
I have nothing further to add.
Okay. Anybody else have any further to add to it? Okay. None being heard, Jim has a maintenance appropriation ordinance. We'll cover this. You got it with you guys, appropriation ordinance? Do I need to read this?
It's in the packet.
It's in the packet. It lists everything we've talked about, the appropriation ordinance.
I'll read it for the record.
Okay.
It's a Mchenry Township tentative and appropriation ordinance, whereas the Township Board of Mchenry Township in the County of McHenry in the state of Illinois has caused its tentative budget and annual appropriation ordinance to be prepared, and that is the intention of said Township Board to make the same conveniently available for public inspection at the Township Hall located at 3703 North Richmond Road, Johnsburg, Illinois 60051 for at least 30 days prior to the final action thereon. Whereas a public hearing will be held and notice of said hearing will be given at least 30 days prior to thereto as required by law, and the Township Board having met all the other applicable legal requirements. Whereas the Township Board recognized there was a surplus in general town funds that were not derived from tax levies in the estimated amount of $1.4 million, and that such funds not derived from a tax levy is dedicated and shall be used towards this tentative budget and appropriation ordinance. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Trustees of Mchenry Township that the above recitals are incorporated by reference, that the following be adopted as the tentative budget and appropriation ordinance containing a statement of cash on hand at the beginning of the fiscal year, an estimate of cash to be expected to be received during the fiscal year from all sources, an estimate of expenses contemplated for such fiscal year, and an statement of estimated cash to be on hand at the end of that year. And the following sums of monies or such shall be authorized by law is hereby appropriated to defray the necessary expenses and liabilities of McHenry Township for the fiscal year of said, beginning April 1st, 2021 and ending March 31st, 2022 for the respective objectives and purposes as set forth, namely, see attached budget and appropriation worksheet show this information that this board has been going through then would be attached as that information. Section 3, that the total capital fund account committed and assigned in the town fund is $676,000 and is allocated as follows. $300,000 assigned for the intended use on deferred maintenance on facilities for 2 years for roof, room remodel paneling, lighting, carpeting, and other flooring. $200,000 assigned for the intended use of deferred maintenance on parks for 2 years for fences, bleachers, outbuildings, ground repair, and maintenance. $75,000 is assigned for the intended use for technology upgrades and replacements for 2 years for computers, screens, monitors, networks, servers, software, cabling. $75,000 is assigned for vehicle equipment replacement for 3 years for township and parks and other vehicle replacement. $26,000 is assigned for the assessor vehicle replacement for 3 years for the assessor's vehicle. Section 4, that all unexpected balances of any item... Unexpended, yes, thank you. That all unexpended balances of any items or items of any general appropriation in this ordinance be expended in making up any insufficiency in any other item or items in the same general appropriation and for the same general purpose of any like appropriations made by this ordinance. That the invalidity of any section of this ordinance shall not affect the validity of the whole or any part thereof. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after the passage and approval. That this ordinance shall be filed with the township clerk.
Okay. Any comments on that? So can we have a motion to approve the ordinance?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We're gonna go through the whole thing.
We've been through it.
We're
Okay.
not approving the ordinance until we go through it all, okay?
Okay. Oh, I do need to point out one change.
Yeah, there's a lot of changes.
No, not really.
For one thing, my copy has a crossed out page. What's the meaning of that?
We had a mistake in the number there, so we changed it. Put a new page. There was just a few dollars off.
There's a typo on the
There's a typo.
assessor's balance. The assessor's balance.
Change from 498,551 to 498,584.
Yeah.
I need to make one change. I got a email from the road commissioner saying that he was not going to pay part of the salary, that we would have to pay it all. He has to, unfortunately, he can do that.
Why didn't we receive a copy of the
I
email?
just got it on Thursday. I'll be happy to send you a copy. I just got it recently.
See, the board's just being cut out of the loop.
Well,
Okay?
it had to be done. I didn't mean to cut you out of it, but it had to be done. It got it late Thursday.
No, you didn't have to be done. You got it on Thursday, you could have sent it out Friday to us.
I should have, I'm sorry. I will send it out to you after the meeting.
Could I ask, Jim,
Use your mic, please.
what can we come back from that? I mean,
Mike,
it
use
does-
your mic.
It doesn't seem appropriate that we now have to consume his full salary.
The statute relative to the highway commissioners can be paid from the town fund should the highway commissioner and the road district are in agreement, and as well as from the highway fund. Since he's not agreeing to it, then the statute requires that it comes out of the town fund.
Well, send the statute to us for reading, so we're not going to approve this as it is right now. You can put it on for the next meeting, the regular scheduled meeting.
Oh, we'll approve it as a regular schedule. Okay, fine.
What other changes were made on this?
None that I'm aware of, was there, Devin?
When did you review this document?
Last week, late.
Who
Thursday.
prepared the document?
For the most part, I did, but Debbie helps me type it sometimes.
Who else?
No,
Well, apparently the road district commissioner has helped by saying he's not going to pay.
I'm sorry. That's the only thing that happened. You're correct.
I've read that for years, that
Yeah, well, maybe
He
we
has
should
the
look at
choice to do
it,
that.
okay? Maybe we should
he has
look
the power
at
to
it.
do it, to refuse it.
Yeah, well, these powers that the road district commissioner has been already shown in court to be non-existent and some things. that we were always told they had. So if Mr. Militello will please get us the statute so we can get to the bottom of it.
Is that not what the statute reads? As far as I know, that's what the statute reads.
What did the road district commissioner say in the letter?
All he said was, due to a shortage in his budget shortfall, this year he didn't have funds to pay for his salary. So he would be,
Could we get a copy of that and just read it into the record?
sure.
Give me just a minute.
Why isn't it dated? Don't do anything, okay?
Either
Don't-
sign it,
don't touch
either
me.
sign it or
Don't touch
give it
me.
back to me. I didn't touch you.
I'm
I
not
touched
signing
the paper.
anything without a date.
Well, put the date on there. Do you know what date it is? You want to know the time? You want to know who's president? Oh, asshole.
Debbie, I'm gonna forward it to you.
Yeah, go ahead, forward it, and I will go and print it.
Did it come through? It come through? Oh, you didn't see it. It came through in your email.
Pardon me?
The email, I sent it to you.
Yeah, you can send it to me.
It didn't come through?
I just got it.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Just pulled up.
Have a nice trip.
Yeah, almost.
Okay, gentlemen, it was something to worry about. I didn't see it till late afternoon. Thank you.
Again, I apologize. I should have sent it out to you again.
Did you contact him with any questions? It says, please contact me with any questions. Did you contact him with,
I did not.
do you have any questions?
What questions would I have asked? No.
I don't know, I just kind of wondered.
No, I
You
didn't.
offered his questions.
I thought it was.
I don't have one.
I thought it was very self.
It's done.
I thought it was done.
Well, actually, it doesn't make any sense if you really read it. I'm talking about the last sentence. What does that mean? It. What is the it?
I think, well,
I think he's
I
referring
think
to
what
his
he's referring
salary.
to is salary.
I think he's referring to salary, Steve.
That what we would have here would be less than what we would have last
Because the
previous
salary's
years.
been cut.
because of his salary being cut.
So how much does this mean?
How much what?
What does this translate into in terms of an amount? Where in the budget is this?
It's on page 3. It makes it 51,374. It would have been half of that before.
How many employees do we share with the road district right now?
Just Debbie and Flo partially.
So how are their salaries?
Their registration, we will bill them, you wanted us to bill them for services.
Okay, so how much are you going to bill?
20% of their salary, whatever that is. That's about how much time they use.
Thanks, Debbie.
And this is for both of them?
Correct.
Well, not just their salaries, their benefits too, right?
Correct.
I'll be back. I'll be back, yeah.
So you are going to build
I'm going
them?
to try to, that doesn't mean he has to pay.
What about, doesn't the same hold true for us? We can try it, we don't have to pay.
Well, wait a minute. This board finally figured out that the township was subsidizing the road district in terms of the salaries amounting to this determination of 20% of 2 people, and as well as their benefits, okay? Anybody going through the budgets or in accounting would never be able to figure that out.
Well, we could certainly put a note on here. That would show them. Besides.
I would say that we're not going to be carrying the road district commissioner in terms of what he's done. So we need the figures, the exact figures for the next year, 20% for Flo and Debbie. And that will be taken out of the budget. Okay?
I think you should leave it in, and he'll reimburse it, and we'll take it back out.
We don't, he just said, he pays, okay, we don't know.
I can't make him do it.
Yeah, okay, well, we can do it here and now on this budget. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Militello.
What's the statement? No, Mr. Burke.
That the 20% of those 2 salaries come off of our budget.
You can modify the budget however you want.
Right. And that's what we'll be doing. You know, it's a one-way street,
I understand.
as you intended to go through. There's no proof that it is going to be paid by the road district commissioner.
Correct.
Did you have any conversations with him before you got the letter?
No, I did not.
So
I rarely see him.
why is that?
Craig, it sounds like there's not a lot of communication going
It
on.
doesn't work for me.
Remember,
It works with you.
it's 2 separate governments, folks.
Well, in a way it is. But Mr. Adams is the treasurer of the road district too.
Well, I know it's complications, but it
So-
is 2 separate units of government.
It's 2 separate units, but he's involved with the other unit.
But I'm not so
In an
sure that
official
this is just part of the
capacity,
government, the treasurer.
So what do you mean you don't see him?
I mean, I see him around the office, but we don't talk very often. I'm busy, he's busy.
Craig, I assume that the road district takes care of all the parking places here, snow plowing.
No, parks snowplow that here.
Okay.
It's a-
What else can he take from the town fund that,
Nothing.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Because it sounds to me like he's gonna get back every dime he wants by pulling these kinds of shenanigans on you. Somewhere along the line, you either have to just go ahead and pay up or stand up for the town fund and say you can't do that. You are the head of the town fund. There's a responsibility that comes with it. I know it's not easy. Nobody likes being contrary, but I think you have to.
Just can't make them do anything that's wrong. I can certainly request it.
Mike, did you read the yellow? Read the yellow, because I'll tell you it's exactly what it is. It's up to the road commissioner, it says the road commissioner may. That's all, he does not have to. It doesn't say shall. It's right in that yellow, if you read the yellow part of the sheet you got there, it's there, it's clear. I've seen it for years, I didn't like it, but
That's
it's
the
there.
statute you guys requested. I gave you a copy of it.
What?
The statute copy that Jim, it's right there.
And Steve was right, it took me years to figure out how much the road commissioner's salary was when I went through the budgets and how it was split, and, but there again, eventually I figured it out.
Jim, do you have on your computer exactly what the agreement for salary for the road commissioner is? How that is figured out? Figured up?
It's 50%. The way it was done in the past was,
the way it was done in the past, it was 50% from the town fund and 50% from the road district.
Is the percentages on there?
The statute says not exceeding 50%. So 50% was the max. So that was the amount that was agreed to between the highway commissioner and the supervisor. Now, I'm not aware of anything in writing relative to that. It's just a matter of what was agreed between the supervisor and the highway commissioner in the past. That amount could be something less than 50%, but in this case, it sounds like there's no agreement.
Well, how long has this agreement been going on?
As long as I can remember.
That's it. He's been with a trustee and supervisor. Craig's been about 22 years. This is going on when Jim Condon was a trustee himself. I have no
I'm
idea.
just trying
Of all
to
the records
establish
I've
how
got, I don't know
long
when it
this
started.
has
I
been
know it's been going on for years.
So you inherited it, I
I
guess?
inherited it, and it was going on, as far as I know, the whole time I was on the board.
And there never was anything in writing about it?
No. Just agreed upon.
Who's paying the pension on the road district commissioner then? Doesn't anybody know?
Town fund.
Town fund is,
Well, there's no reason why we have to pay that, is there? Mr. Militello?
The funds, again, are we talking about the IMRF funds?
Yeah.
That would apply to the highway commissioner as it does for the other elected officials.
No, that's not my question.
does the town fund have to pay it?
Yes,
Why?
because it's part of compensation, the compensation of the highway commissioner.
Then there's got to be a statute on that too, right?
Well, this is the only statute on that issue regarding the
Well,
compensation.
then we can say no.
If this board interprets compensation to be different than pension,
We do.
and I'm just saying,
And that's
and not included, then that's a decision for this board to make relative to that payment of the funds.
Well, then put that on the agenda for the final meeting.
And I'd like to know what that amount is.
This is quite opposite of what's going on in other townships, such as Maine Township, which took away the entire contribution. Okay. Now, when the accounting is done, there's a separate bill to the township for the accounting that goes on with the road district?
I believe that's split, Steve, or whatever they would do.
Well, considering that the budget of the road district is so much bigger than the township, why was it split in half and not on some kind of a fair basis? I'm just asking how it was arrived at, if that would be split.
Are you talking about the X-Cal?
What's
Are you
that?
talking about X-Cal's bill?
No, he's talking about county. How that's split, are we paying for it all?
For like the accountant itself?
Or for the road district, if there's anything?
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah,
Okay, how long has that been going on?
as long as I.
forever.
Well, so that's another item for the last meeting. That it will, that these bills of a joint nature are going to be split proportionately to the amount of work, or in that case of the accounting, in the amount of the budget, the respective budgets. Because once again,
It's
it
not-
seems the township is subsidizing the road district. Yeah.
I mean, the
That's only
accountant
fair.
comes in-
We've got two taxing bodies, okay? They're not consolidated. And one of them is paying,
It could have been.
historically been paying out more than it should. And if we're gonna do this thing fair and transparent so the taxpayers know what the heck is going on in this township, then it's only right that these expenses that are jointly charged should be split in a more equitable way. Do you disagree with that, Chairman?
Chairman, yes. Oh, I thought you said, Chairman. I think that funds need to be applied appropriately to the appropriate units of, first of all, to the units of government to where they're incurred, number one. Number two, I think not only then once they're applied to the units that are incurred, that they also need to be remained within the funds in which they're being used. So in this particular case, in fact, what I was trying to do is go and find the last year's road and bridge budget and appropriation ordinance to see if there was a line item for both accounting and auditing. I didn't know off the top of my head.
No, they're combined together, all under accounting services.
For
Same
the,
with the town,
for the road district.
for the road district and the town. yeah.
So in answer to Trustee Veer's point is that whatever the services that are being performed by the accountant for the township, if there's services that are being performed for the road district, then
It's split out.
those fees need to be paid by the road district.
They are paid by the road district. It's split out by whatever services, because it's listed on the bill.
I agree to that. First recommended about the sun.
Sorry, being split out by what
Right,
services?
whenever we get the bill, it shows
What
if
services
they're
are they
working on GRB, PHR, town, or GA.
And they always
it's
have to
always
come
been-
out 50%.
No, they don't always come out 50%.
All right, then please have that for the final meeting, because I don't recall ever seeing that.
There's not that many. They only come in
Right.
twice a year.
Right. And I don't recall ever seeing that.
Well, I could show you.
I thought-
You've seen it for 3 years.
I thought it was a 50% split.
It's not. It's based on whatever work is done.
Well,
I can
whatever
show you a
work,
bill.
whatever work is done,
For that,
Correct.
for that area.
When the accountant comes in and does it and bills us, it's based on how many hours and whatever work they're doing.
okay,
So like the last time they came in, they helped with the reconciliation of tying out all our bank accounts. So they worked on all 4 accounts, all 8 accounts, getting them tied out. That bill was split.
all right, so in this budget, where's the line item for accounting services?
It's under administration, midway through the 4th page, I think it is. No. Page 3, halfway through, under contractual services.
Okay, and how much was the road district's bill last year?
I don't know, you'd have to look at the road district's budget. I can look it up. Let me pull that up for you.
Being split by the accounts that they're working on, so.
Is the road district kicking anything into the website?
Yes?
Yes,
What, half?
Yeah, that's split 3 ways.
that's split 3 ways, the assessor kicks into that too. Which makes sense, each department.
Craig, what was your reaction when you got that letter? Personally, how did you react to it?
I was disappointed, I didn't expect it.
Is that as far as it went? You
Their
just
bill was
disappointed with
10,948.08.
complied, or?
That's our
I know what the statute says, that's what I
948.08. So you have Miller Recorder.
Once he makes up his mind, he makes up his mind.
The accountant, or the auditor was 4250.
Does this comply with
50.
social distance?
So about 6,000 for the auditor. Miller Recorder, depending upon the bill, there's different ones.
Mr. Adams, can you tell her to please sit down?
These are year-end journals that the auditor has us make for any prepaid expenses. We have like a renewal, like Sage. Sage is a yearly renewal.
All right, so the auditor's invoices were,
Right there, Peter Casella, 6,000. 4250
yeah,
and
okay.
1850. It's about 6,000, 6,100.
Okay.
That's it.
I thought you said it was 9,000.
I never said 9,000. The total in accounting services, 10,948 is what was spent.
For what?
For accounting services
For who?
on that line item in.
For the road?
This is for the road district, correct?
And that's, there isn't any internal breakdown for general hard road and
No.
roads and bridges, it's just road district.
But what
No,
funded it?
no, there is an account for general road and bridge and for permanent hard road. Permanent hard road doesn't pay for any accounting services. They have it all come out of GRB.
But the road commissioner adjusts those funds any way he wants.
Right.
Well, that may be, but we're still caught in this dilemma of the township. So.
We're not subsidized, it's broken down.
All right, so according to this, what's the exact amount that we paid last year in the account? 4,250 and,
That's for the auditor, 1850. There was 2 payments made to the auditor.
and we have the same auditor and the same accountants, correct?
From prior year, yes.
Are we under contract with those 2 entities,
I don't believe so.
Mr. Adams?
No, but I'm signing off the new auditors pretty soon, so. But the accountant doesn't.
These figures aren't adding up. Okay.
Maybe because you don't know that.
Are you going to tell the clerk?
Okay, let's not get into this, either of you. Stop it. No cross talking.
Well, he doesn't.
Okay, so it's either, right?
Peter Casella, yeah,
4250 plus
1850. 1,850.
okay. And the auditor These are for the road,
That's the auditor.
okay. And the accountant for the road district. Both funds, right?
No, this is just for GRB.
Well, who's doing the auditing on the?
No, Stevie takes it out of GRB, but it's for both.
Yeah, okay, so.
Oh, for both PHR and GRB, yes. 2118, 2,118.50.
Yeah,
We had to take that out, so that's 495,
why was it taken out?
because it was voided, there was an error there, in 20250,
This is the accountant.
yes.
Okay, so what was it for the township? Are those separate auditing jobs? For what? Why are there 3 bills for the accountant, for the road district?
Yeah, there would be different times, they came in 3 times last year.
Just for the road district?
Correct. Or it could have been a combination, I don't know. I'd have to look at the actual bills. You've seen them the 3 months they came in. I would have to pull them to see the specifics on why they came in.
Now, when we saw them, that was just to classify them as available to be paid and whatnot, okay? Now,
I get that.
Right, now we're looking at things
Well,
in a
if
whole
you-
different way.
And I understand that, so if you want the bills to be pulled to see what they were for specifically, then I would have to do that. I do not remember them off the top of my head.
But they are being split, Steve, by what's being done, so.
Yeah, it's all based on whatever work is being done.
So maybe that line item, accounting services, should be split between accounting services and auditing services.
You could do that.
Because it's,
Okay, so,
so,
you ready for town?
yes,
Okay, so for Eater Casella was 4,250, 4,250, and 1,850.
all right, so that's.
So the auditor is an even split, because they have to do the same work on every account in every entity.
What do you mean, the same work? If one has a
They have to do-
budget of $1 million more, I don't see how it's.
Doesn't
It
change their work.
has nothing to do with the amount.
And it has nothing to do with the amount of the budget, it has to do with, it's the same amount of work for them.
It's just, right. They do the same thing for GA, they do the same thing for town, they do the same thing for PHR, they do the same work for GRB. All right, you ready for Miller?
But there's 2 separate entities. They're doing it for the road district and only one for the township. There's sub-entities, I should say.
No, there's town and GA. GA doesn't pay their own accountant bill.
And now is that because it's a segregated account?
Yes, they are separated accounts. All of them are.
No, but I mean, the reason why we're paying the auditor for the GA is because it is a separate segregated account.
I would assume. I don't really know. I just know that that's totally separate, but it does get audited every year.
So every segregated account goes through a separate auditing.
Correct. You read that in the audit. You'll see it's broken down by each one.
Well, I didn't realize they were getting billed separately. And you can't tell that from the audit. Right?
No,
What do you mean, no? You mean yes?
no, you can't.
Right from the audit report.
Why would you tell the billing on the audit?
Right, that's what I'm getting
Billing
at.
is separate than the audit
And that's
report.
why
The audit is a
it's
report, not a
hard to
bill.
figure it out. Okay. So they are split down the middle.
Correct,
for the audit.
correct.
Okay, now for the accountant for the town?
The accountant, we have the 2,118.50, 440, 495, and 202.50. So she was in 4 times on our side and only 3 on GRB.
You mean 4 separate visitations to the physical office of the township?
Correct.
Or 4 separate?
4 physical visitations. She comes in whenever she does our work for us.
Okay. But those all, except for the separate 440 charge for the township, the other 3 charges?
Looked like they were split things, so it's probably like our year end, that kind of thing. When we do the year end, we do it all at one time.
Okay, but my question is, who came up with the splitting? Why is it split?
It's split by the account that they're working on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get
The
that.
only way to
I'm talking about
explain
the
it-
amount. They split out exactly 50%.
Because it's based on hours.
Okay.
We're billed by the
It's
hour.
based on hours, there you go. How many hours are spent in there?
And we're working on all 4 accounts.
So you're telling me that
It doesn't take
for
any.
some reason, miraculously, every year, the same exact time is spent between the 2 entities, which they
Well, we
can't
try to only
possibly be
make her come
correct.
in when we have everything. I don't call her for every,
Yeah, I get it, that she comes in and does them both in the same
does it all,
visitation.
yes, whatever I have at that point.
So she splits her time based on what she's doing.
But that means there's actual timesheets then.
No, I'm sure she doesn't do a timesheet. It's how much time she spends here at our office.
But that's not the way it should be billed in the first place. It should be built on how much time each thing actually takes for each entity. It's not how much time she's here.
Well, that's time she's spending on doing the thing,
Doing the thing.
doing whatever she's doing.
Okay. So it seems to me this has been an obvious convenience that we just split all of these shared expenses in half.
We don't necessarily, Steve, that's not true.
I realize there was the extra
Right.
visitation.
Right,
for-
whatever it is.
For something.
It doesn't
Right, and it doesn't-
pertain to them, I don't bill them.
But the other 3, the
Because
other
they
3 times can't perfectly match every single time.
can if it's taking the same amount of time, it probably does.
The odds of that happening year to year are astronomical.
I wouldn't
Okay.
I wouldn't disagree, I mean, I would disagree with that. I think they do the same type of thing in each account.
Okay, so how does the accountant bill? This isn't on a contract, right?
No,
So there's no contracted amount like there is with Mr.
No.
Militello. So there's timesheets or something to account for their time. You just,
it's broken down on the bill, what work she came in and provided that day for service. I will give you a bill, that's probably the way you need to look at it, and then go from there.
okay.
Because like the prior year, she was only here 3 times.
Now is that 3 times for both entities?
I'm looking to see right now, because
Look,
it was a lot.
if the road we wouldn't even be having this discussion, okay? If the road district hadn't forced on us an extra $30-some thousand. Or how, well, let's figure it out. This is gonna be over the course of 4 years. So it's,
No, that's not necessarily true.
why?
He's saying this year, I
It
don't
doesn't
know.
have to be.
He doesn't have to be every year. It's up, I don't know.
Well, we have to consider that he's not going to be jumping around, okay? So the amount that now the township must shoulder from the road district is, you'll get the exact amount for the regular meeting. And by my calculations, it should be something on the order of over 30,000 for this year alone. Over 100,000.
For what? I'm sorry, I was looking at something else.
What should be over 30,000, Steve?
how much extra we're going to have to pay because of this letter.
We're not gonna do anything, oh, are you talking about his salary, maybe?
Yeah,
It's not 30,000, is it?
it's salary,
It's less, okay, you're rounding up, so. It's 25 something. There's 51.
so over the course of 4 years, 100,000 plus.
Correct.
Then maybe you should shoot him a letter saying, is this for this year or for all 4 years? So we can establish that.
Well, it's not just like this year, gonna do it.
Now, if the road district commissioner says, oh, just this year, Mr. Militello, what can the township do to protect itself?
Enter into an IGA, a binding IGA with the highway commissioner to get in writing for them out.
Right. So we should do that.
So you want that on our regular meeting agenda?
Yes. The IGA. In fact, all these other things can be added to it too. Flow, Debbie and Credo, the benefits. What are the current IGAs with the road district? None, right?
Currently, no.
Has there ever been any with it?
Yeah, there used to be one where the township would pay the road district $25,000 for gasoline and use of their equipment if we needed to use it, etc.
So now where does the township get gas?
No, I'm sorry, we didn't split up the gas separately. We are doing that now per your suggestion. Got it at the same place, but now we're paying the exact amount.
Okay. Which, for accountant purposes, makes sense, right?
Correct.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a nitpicker on some cents, but the way things were done, it puts everybody in, the future board, everybody in this box of what the real story is on these costs.
But we do not currently have one. No, the road district would have to agree to an IGA also. I can't make it for that.
So this is another problem because of the shared attorney representing both, right?
It would be my suggestion in this case, we would have a conflict relative to the IGA. He would have to go and get his own attorney. So we would prepare an IGA, I'd give it to the board. The highway commissioner would then have to get an attorney to review it on his behalf. We would not be able to look at it.
So what you're saying, Jim, is that mainly you are representing the town
And then
exclusively.
we represent the town. The IGA will be for the maximum amount, which is 50%.
So in that IGA, Steve, like county service, what you're saying? It's already being split. You want Debbie involved.
Is the road district under this new telephone policy?
Yes, and they're paying their portion.
So,
And that's done by, Debbie, is that done by number of phones, or how's that done?
Yeah, it's broken down by phones
By phones. So it's
for
equitable,
each department.
equitable way to split.
Craig, has there been any other things that the road commissioner
Please use
has?
your mic.
It's not working.
Here, Mike.
Are there any other things that the road commissioner
Mike,
has sent you
this-
that would indicate he's going to use this for, in other ways, in other areas?
He doesn't have his on either.
No, I think mine was on at one time.
Not that I'm aware of this.
Is there any that he could in the future? Because I think this is something that, as the head of the town, you need to face up to, that he may do this in other areas. And what's going to be your reaction?
Well, I don't know what other areas there are. I couldn't see anything.
Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I have. He doesn't use our code, you know.
It just looks to me like he feels he's been short-funded and he's going to get his money back and you're going to pay for it.
Like,
And I'm just concerned, I'm concerned for you and for the town
I
fund
understand what you're
that
saying,
this
but
doesn't happen.
I don't see anything else at this time.
So there were a variety of questions raised at the last meeting. Are you going to get answers for us?
Yeah, I did call TOI. Their dues pay for their employees, their building, in order to run their operation, and the salaries of their employees. And it also does go to the magazine. So basically, that's what it's paying for.
You said a magazine,
Mhm.
what else was it?
Their employees, their building, you know.
How many employees would TOI do you
I
know?
don't know how many they have. They don't have that many, I don't think, but I don't know how many they have.
Okay. What else?
For building expenses, or operating expenses.
Operating, okay.
Basically, that's what it's paying for.
So none of the Torma insurance,
Wait, let me go back to that. All townships are not part of it. But here again, I think
Use your
the
mic.
reason that we are involved with them comes back because of the insurance costs, is it not?
That is the main reason, yes.
So when I see this stuff here, there's really not much of a discussion on whatever that money is spent. The dues is the situation, is it makes the insurance
Makes the insurance
a
affordable.
bargain for the taxpayer, so
Correct.
that, to me, that issue's over with, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Is there any other questions that I'm supposed to answer that I didn't answer?
So Craig, I'm going through the budget. It looks like there's an awful lot of line items that if we took each line item as the head of the town fund and trying to budget, knowing that there's down the road maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 years, there may be problems with money, that if you could address some of those issues right now on your own, you know, knock $100 or $200 off a line item.
I think we've been doing that. We've been
I
doing
know
that.
we have, but I'm saying as the head, the guy that's responsible for this.
Mike, I understand that, but I'm in agreement in everything that's being done here, okay?
Okay, I'm just throwing this out because
I can't, there's something, you can only take so much away without operating. You can understand.
I understand, I'm just saying that
And you know,
you're
in the future,
the buck stops here, remember the old line, the
yeah,
buck
I
stops here.
realize, in the future, we will examine it every year based upon what monies are. Obviously, I'm trying to not spend anything I don't have to spend, you understand that?
I understand, and that's why
I mentioned it because if we can, we're in agreement, if you can cut a little bit
Right, and we
from each
do,
one,
we always have.
sometimes $25, $50, whatever.
We
you know,
try
just-
to get the cheapest, anything.
How does the rest of the board feel about that?
Well, I assume that that had been going on.
It's always,
It is, but
it's
I'm
always,
saying, as the guy, the last stand, the guy that's running the place, if he can cut, $25, $50,
but
$100.
I do that now, I do it.
It's the credo of the township.
And we do, we
Have we
always,
been living by that credo?
Always doing more for less.
Okay, have we been living by
yes,
that credo?
we have, we're doing.
Because I mean, we've been cutting, every year we've been cutting.
Correct.
And I'm just saying that maybe the head guy can do a little bit more, that's all. I approve, anything you can cut, I approve personally.
If I saw anything on here I could cut, it wouldn't be on here, okay?
I wouldn't mind asking our attendee if he has any suggestions or questions.
As far as, you guys are making the budget, I'm gonna follow it.
Was there anything you would add or modify with
Nope.
Not at this point, unless I make the salaries, but we can't touch them.
I think we spent plenty of time on this budget. We went over it many times. I think we should move forward on it.
This should be 315.
And we've gone over and over, guys.
Absolutely, yes.
Changed everything.
We gotta change it after I change it.
This is the 5th draft.
So it is right.
How much more do you want to go here?
Yeah, I can make that change right now.
Well, Bloom Township is up to 18 drafts, okay? So don't think we're like at the outer edge of
They
anything.
got somebody like you on the board, huh?
No, they have a federal investigation going on.
if they do, they'd be very fortunate.
Okay.
All right, no comment.
300, let's see what's that.
Right. We should probably change that though as a 6th draft.
And then it'll be actually on the agenda for the regular meeting, this budget. With the new amounts for Flo and Debbie in there and all that.
Sure, you're not gonna change it.
Well, I just want to make sure it's on the agenda so we don't have to call a special meeting.
You're talking about the next regular meeting.
Yes.
Can we clarify what that means?
You mean the next regular board meeting?
Yes, where we'll approve the budget,
An appropriation ordinance.
Tentative budget.
the tentative budget. Right.
We will put that against, but we'll change that.
It's on page 2, the security rental.
I think that is,
That's not really the revenue, right? So
no, goes in, it comes up, goes in, goes out.
it shouldn't even be there.
I'm sorry, what?
It shouldn't be a line
It
item.
has to be shown for the account, the
We
money.
have to show the money coming in
Yep.
from the renters,
Right, you have to show it coming in, and you have to,
and it has to go back
and we have to
out.
write them a check, it has to go back out, so we have to balance, you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
then why wasn't there any for 2018?
Because of,
It was all being taken out of the payroll, and it can't happen that way. You can't go in and out. So the change was made to,
oh, okay, that was,
Now, wait a minute. How could that be coming out of the payroll?
because it's employees here that do it.
No, I'm talking about on page 2, the security rental.
That's what I'm
no,
talking
that's
about.
no, what he's talking about is the $1,000 or $2,000.
Yeah, that's not,
Because it's employees here that get paid to do it, extra money if they would like to do it. But now we're doing it separately.
So then there shouldn't even be 1,000 in it, right?
Well, yeah.
Now, wait a minute. You mean we're providing the security?
Right, we always have. All they're doing is watching. If there's any problems, they call the police. They're just watching the room. And they're getting paid from the people running the room to do that.
And it's only when alcohol is served.
Oh, I thought it was a security deposit kind of thing, and then if people wreck the thing.
No.
No, that's
Security
Okay.
deposit
different.
goes directly back to them. Provided they didn't do it again.
On page 4,
Mm-hmm.
the urban analytics cost study, that was a one-time thing.
We listed it and you approved it in the budget last year, so that's how we did it.
Well, that was the year it was in.
Well, it just shows up there, that's all, because we're trying to compare.
No, he's not budgeting for it.
I'm not budgeting for it, we're just comparing years to
It's
years.
just
It's
showing
one of
it
the
was there.
lines that was there, that's all. It'll eventually fall off of there.
Are there any changes you'd like added to this? Besides what we've already talked about?
We're talking about debit and flow for the meantime, right?
Yes.
Okay. No, I like it the way it is, Bill. I mean, we've gone over and over and over and over and over.
Do you have any criticisms of what we've done?
The only criticism I would say that on some line items you got a little picky, that's all. But are we pretty much done looking at this now? I'll get the W and flow thing changed in there,
Right.
and then you're good.
Well, and then these communications with the road district commissioner,
One communication being for, is this for this year or 4 years, right?
right?
And what else anyway?
4 years or longer.
Is this for this year or 4 years or longer?
Yeah, as long as he's road commissioner, because we already established we don't have a record of when this started. So maybe he's thinking about making it forever, and maybe that's something that the towns would have to adjust, that this road commissioner, when he's there, the odds are if he's gonna set the standard now, that will happen with his replacement too.
I'll send him a, was there another email I was supposed to send him? I don't think so.
And then if he responds, you'll do this in writing, right?
Yes,
And then if he responds in writing, just,
you like copy.
yeah. And then it would probably be advisable, right, Mr. Militello, that he give some warning to the road district commissioner about the flow and Debbie.
Can't hear you.
He's not talking into his mic. Nobody does.
I don't think it's like this.
What's the on?
They keep him far away.
No, I keep putting it up there, sure, it goes on.
I mean, that would be the prudent thing to do, so he's got, when he finally does do his budget, to what he thinks is a more amenable board.
Can't hear you.
Well, I'm talking in front of it, okay?
Turn the mic on.
The mic is on.
Do you know
care
how to
look
turn
at
it on?
Do you want to look at it?
No,
I can hear it.
no, I don't want to touch anything you have.
Oh, whoa.
Can we clarify?
Don't go there.
Do you understand what we would do?
20% of their salaries be charged to the district.
And then it would probably be beneficial, the same amount you're going to have in our budget, also to inform him that he's going to have to make a calculation in his budget to cover that, so that there isn't any big surprises.
We have nothing to do with his budget, Steve. Let him, he's got to handle it himself. We have nothing, we have no say.
Yeah, I know, but now he pulled the rug out from under us while we're doing our
Well,
budget,
he's
which
gonna get
is,
the message from the
No.
email, so let him handle it.
which is why I wanted to get his budget, so he could get to the bottom of
Well,
this.
you're not gonna get it.
Yeah, well, that doesn't mean we have to be like him. Don't you think that's a prudent thing?
Well, we already directed the supervisor to send him some emails.
Well, yeah, but here's a question though. If we get an IGA right now with the highway commissioner that he will reimburse for these services, do you want that right now in place relative to Flo and Debbie? Or do you want to build that into the next 3 years?
That's it, he isn't billing into this year, so we'll bill into next, no, we can't bill into next year, he's not gonna charge us for the next 3 years. We don't know that.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is the IGA can cover both Flo and Debbie as well as his compensation. And that's my point, is to get it out on the table.
Oh, I guess we have to get the answer to his question first.
And we can waive any conflict we have regarding this IGA, right?
I would prefer, you could, but I would prefer if he has an issue, then he can.
But if he doesn't have an issue.
If that's his, then that's his problem. I mean, we represent the township at this point on this, yes.
Okay.
So, just to clarify for me, these issues of two people
Your mic,
doing,
Mike,
it's not working. It's not working.
turn it on.
Just press it.
Hold it in. Don't hold it.
The issue of having two town fund employees doing work for the road district, are we going to go ahead and say we're going to start billing them for that or not?
Well,
I'm not quite sure I understand.
If he doesn't agree to the IGA, I don't know what I can, I can't go,
Then can you just refuse to do the work?
I don't think I can.
Where is it written that they have to do work for, and no recompense from?
Slavery was abolished a long time
Well, I don't think I can, because I'm the treasurer, the work has to get done.
The road district would have to make appropriations for whatever services that he would need to have.
So can you explain that just a little more in detail, because I'm not quite sure what you said.
So whatever you're asking for, whatever that is, that's going to be applied to whatever the road district, so if you're saying that the road district needs to do something, then that's a service that the road district would need to provide for. If the township is already providing those services, and the township can enter into an IGA with the road district to continue that and to be compensated for it, that's one thing. But if what I'm hearing from you is that if the road district is not going to compensate the township, then the road district would have to make alternative.
That's what I'm saying, exactly.
But that would be a decision that this board would have to make.
Okay, and I'm willing to make that decision. I don't know if anybody else is, but I am.
I just get concerned about splitting accounts, it gets to be a nightmare.
What do you mean by that? The outside accountants?
No. Debbie and Flo, I'm sure it's being done right. I don't know that it'll be done right necessarily by somebody else.
Well, that's one of the problems is you're the treasurer of the district and also the supervisor of the town. So it's just another inconsistency from the days of yore when townships were founded.
Well, that is a problem for me, see, the problem, I have to make sure it's right.
Well, first I think we have to get a reply back from the road commissioner.
Okay,
But the next budget will show the 20% reduction in those two, with an asterisk if need be.
sure. What would the asterisk be?
To show that this only accounts for 4/5 of their work. we're accepting the 20%, okay,
Yes.
in good faith. And I'm not questioning it. But if it's 20%, fine, then why are we subsidizing them? I don't have any problem with shared employees. Things are probably more efficient that way.
Yeah.
But they have to be accounted for on the budgets. Not this mystery stuff where somebody looks at it and can't figure out what the heck is going on. Is there anything we're missing?
No.
Jim?
Just a modification on some balances. I was just having a conversation with Debbie regarding some figures, and I think that'll be incorporated into the next.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's an error here. I'll fix it.
And that's what this whole budgetary process is supposed to be. So many eyes looking, errors are found. Nobody's saying anybody was derelict or anything. All we're trying to do is come up with something that an average citizen can look at and understand and have a true and accurate conception of how much this unit of government is costing them. And in the days when everything was flush and the county was growing, nobody cared, okay. Those days are gone. When McHenry County is in the top 100.
Is this part of a budget?
Yeah, it is part of the budget,
Is this
because
part of the-
that's the explanation. Why are you even talking?
Is this part of the board comment? Are you gonna go on and speak?
Are you gonna have order in here?
You should.
But he's right, you should save that for your board comment.
No,
Yeah, you should
we're
say
going
that.
over the rationale, okay? You're the one that criticized
You have no
us
rationality.
for going over it 5 times. For having 5 separate drafts, you criticize us for
Because of
doing
you.
it, okay?
All right, let's move on.
Each time you found a
Let's
new
Steve,
thing.
let's address him. We don't need to.
All I'm saying is we move along.
Whoa,
That's all.
what are you, why are you talking? We're not done.
I thought we were done. Bob, aren't we done?
When I started, I have no problem with, when I first made my comment that I had nothing to add to what we already gone over, I didn't know the road commissioner would come in with what he did. And I think Steve has got some valid points there. But once those valid points are there, I have nothing else to add to this, so.
Right, well, he's gonna address those at the next
So,
regular
it's supposed to
meeting.
be all
you know,
addressed, so as far as I'm concerned.
Let's go back to the budget, right? I mean,
For my
you're
end, I have
happy with the
nothing else-
budget,
I have
right?
nothing else to add at this time.
Yeah.
I have nothing to add.
Yeah.
Do we need to vote in the executive
Mike, you're
session?
happy with the budget?
But we will go on the next meeting.
No, we can't vote, we're not gonna vote until our next meeting. We can end this meeting, if anybody's done talking, but we can go through the rest of the budget, or the.
But, I mean, we can accept it.
Okay, I just want to agree that all we're doing in this is changing Debbie flow by 20%, right? That's the only thing we're requesting in this one.
Well, with the concomitant figures being changed in the budget.
Yeah, in this budget.
And it's gonna be approved at our meeting, the monthly meeting,
Mhm.
the 15th. That's my understanding.
And then, Mr. Militello, what happens at the conclusion of that meeting and the approval of the budget?
At that point in time, like in the ordinance, it's to be filed with the clerk. The clerk would then have a copy. The clerk would then make and publish in the paper notice of the adoption of the tentative budget appropriation ordinance, and that some date out in the future beyond 30 days of that adoption to set a hearing date, and at whatever time, 7 o'clock, and at which time the public would have an opportunity to come and comment on the tentative budget and appropriation ordinance and make their comments. And then upon completion of public comment, the board in place at the time would then have the opportunity to approve a final budget and appropriation ordinance, which then would be filed with the county clerk.
the second whereas of the ordinance,
Yeah.
can you explain the legal ramifications of that?
Public hearing will be held and notice of said hearing.
No, I mean, on the tentative budget ordinance, the second whereas on page, I'm sorry, the third.
Whereas, okay, excellent point. Whereas the township, let me just read it first and then let me talk about it. Whereas the township board recognized that there was a surplus in general town funds that were not derived from tax levies in the estimated amount of $1,400,000, and that such funds not derived from a tax levy is dedicated and shall be used towards the tentative budget and appropriation ordinance. There was some discussion and I believe in some notations relative to $1,450,000 was some total that was out there at one point in time. $50,000 of that was then set aside by the electors for the seniors program, bus program, leaving a remaining $1,400,000 of dollars that were not derived from taxes, meaning whether it was interest or donations or whatever it was, mostly interest.
Property taxes.
Not property tax, not property tax, so non-property tax. Since the issue then became what dollars, when they're sitting in a bank account, are you using to spend? Meaning you got $1,400,000, let's say you have $2 million and now you have $1,400,000. What dollars, when you're spending on the budget, are you spending? Are you spending the non-tax dollars or this tax dollars? So what I wanted to do is make it clear that this board was saying that the purpose, the funding of this budget and appropriation ordinance is coming from the non-taxed dollars. Tax levy is dedicated shall be used towards the tentative budget. So that such funds not derived from a tax levy, meaning those dollars that are not coming from property is going to be used towards this tentative budget and appropriation ordinance. So that means if there's funds that are left over, those funds are from a tax levy.
So, that 1.4 million, at one time that was a tax levy, but every year it changes if it's not spent? Is that the deal?
No, no. So that 1.4 was a number that came from the accountant or the auditor or some person that said, of your dollars that you're sitting there, those are monies that are non-tax levy dollars. They're non-tax levy dollars, meaning they're interest, it's monies from interest. So interest money that's accumulated over some period of time because you've had large dollars that were sitting in the account, interest then accumulated. So now you have $1,400,000 of this non-tax levy dollars, and so the question is how do we make sure that we use those dollars so that we don't have non-tax levy dollars that are sitting there? And the way to do that is to say, we are going to use our non-tax levy dollars to fund our budget and appropriation ordinance. And so now you've now dedicated that fund or those dollars for a specific purpose. And I think that was the desire, so that issues relative to whether or not there's funds or not funds available, that removes that issue.
But there's no way in the world that $1.4 million accumulated from interest.
I don't know. What I understand from the auditors and the accountant was that those were dollars that were accumulating over years that were interest. And so, let's say for the lack of a better word, it was $500,000 or $1 million, whatever the number is. The point of that paragraph is to say that if there are non-tax levy dollars, we're going to use those non-tax levy dollars to fund this budget, to remove them from an issue. So you'll know I didn't have that exact amount, so I just said an estimated amount of $1,400,000. It could be $1 million. I don't know. So I said an estimated amount of $1,400,000 based on the information that was out there, taking the $1,450,000 less the $50,000, and so I used $1,400,000.
So in other words, any other tax dollars that would be levied?
Any tax dollars that are coming in, those would be considered levy dollars and would not be used like they were last.
Right. Steve, if you look at revenue, the only replacement tax is very minimal. The highest of what's across here, and what was the actual last year is 14,657. But down through the years, there's a lot of money that they had here. There were many years that they had quite a few $1,000s that came from interest. Other than the interest, I mean, where else would those funds been coming from? It had to be coming from.
Well, mainly they were interesting.
Huh?
Mainly it was interesting.
Yeah, because of all
You had just, in 2019, 2020, you had almost $50,000
I know that.
interest.
I'm sorry, some of those numbers.
And that's on.
And that's where it came from.
And that's on a downwards,
But that's where it came from, was interest.
Well, you have to also understand that several years ago, interest rates were a lot higher than they are now. so-
Absolutely.
Right, they're going way down now.
Yeah.
Or they've been way down. Lucky thing at 1% now.
So, going back to page 1, and this is all new, thanks to Mr. Motel, asking for the beginning balances to be put in. So at our levy meeting last December, when we were told we only had enough money to run the township for, what was it, 8 months?
I don't recall what was said, but these are the figures that we looked up and found.
You-
By the end.
So you actually had well over $2 million.
I just don't get that.
Right now, we do, yeah.
Well, you haven't really gotten anything from the county treasurer, have you?
Sure we have over the last year.
I'm not talking about last year, I'm talking about this fiscal year. Have you received any money from the county treasurer?
Not yet, no.
Okay, so
Not until May.
this beginning balance represents what? That's all the money you had?
You see the balance sheet every month, Steve.
No, we do not see, that has never been
Yeah,
presented to
you
us.
get them every month.
It's on the balance sheet.
It's on there,
Yes,
huh?
it's taken from the end of March balance sheet.
We-
In any case, that's what, and then what's left over is gonna be tax levy dollars so that they can't be spent any other way.
And it'll be
No,
less than.
what do you mean by any other way? The
By the
electors,
elect- by the- by
can
the
the
elect-
electors come in and use that money?
No,
No.
Mr. Militello?
No, that's why we put that paragraph in there regarding using whatever funds that we have for non-tax levied items
Correct.
to fund this particular budget.
Well, then what's the discrepancy between the 1.4 million in the resolution and the
The
2.35 million in the...
Great question. The 1.4 is non-tax levy dollars, meaning monies that have accumulated as a result of non-tax levy, and the 1.3, so approximately $950,000 are from levies. So what, at the end of March 31st, 2021, you did not spend as much as you budgeted.
and that was due to COVID, so.
And so your budget was greater than the amount that you actually spent. So whatever that amount would be, would add to that balance. And so that ending balance for March 31st, 2021 is going to be your beginning balance for April 1st, 2021. And so one of the things that I did was just to verify this number when I heard about it. I went on to the township website to see, and it's on the transparency portal regarding the supervisor's statement of financial affairs, general town fund. And so in that particular document, it tells you what the beginning balance of April 1st of 2020, what your revenues were, what your expenses were, and then your ending balance. Question.
Thank you.
And so there's a couple of years previous, so it's supposed to carry forward. And so whatever the ending balance was in March, that's going to be your beginning balance for April. And so when I look at it now, your March 31st, 2021 ending balance should be your April 1st, 2021 beginning balance, which matches this $2,350,224.
Does that include the 1.4 million?
Yes.
In that figure?
Yes.
Correct.
So,
Another way of saying it, Stan, you have your top number, $2,350,000. Of that number, $1.4 million is from non-tax levy. The other 950 is from tax levy.
Okay.
And that denomination never changes, no matter how long the money is held. It always is either non-tax or tax.
Correct. Now, that number can go up. So in this particular case, the levy amount is going to go, the tax levy dollars will be greater if at the end of March 31st, 2022, you have additional monies that are left over from this particular budget. So if you spend less money on this than you budgeted, whatever that number is, it's going to add to your tax levy dollars. So
There's still tax levy dollars.
there's still tax levy dollars. So in answer to that question, Stan, so now today you have $2,350,000 on top. You have $1,400,000 that's non-tax levy, $950,000 that's tax levy. At the end, 1 year later, whatever money is left over, you're going to have zero left over for non-tax levy, and tax levy is going to be your remaining balance.
So the overaccumulation taxes that we have, even though the township's got an extra bump higher than other entities, that's considered on the basis of what? The levy, the tax levy dollars that have been accumulated, or the non-tax?
When on accumulation cases, they don't care. It's on total dollars.
Okay.
So in answer, great question, Steve. So where the township would run into problems is if you took 1.597 times 2.5. So what is that?
What do you need?
Could you do the, I didn't, let's say 1,500,000 times 2.5, so that'd be 450,000. So if you had $4,500,000, if you had over $4,500,000, you'd have an accumulation issue.
So we've spared the next board having to worry about that.
You've dropped it dramatically.
Now, how many other municipalities have you worked for? Or municipal entities besides us?
Municipal entities,
Where you've gone through budgets and so on?
understood. 8.
And how do you compare this board with those boards insofar as the budget review process?
As far as the budget review, this township board has taken a lot of time in reviewing the budget and understanding it, more so than some of the others. A lot of times in other villages, it's run by a manager and or some representative and then they bring it to the board to review. And sometimes what will end up happening is they'll have budget hearings or budget meetings, so that, again, this can be talked about in advance. A lot of times it's being informed and knowing what's going on. And I think this board's done a great job as far as being transparent as far as what the information and what the knowledge is, and more specifically, applying the dollars to the appropriate funds where it should go.
Thanks.
And one thing, Steve, before you were appointed to fill Bill Cunningham's spot, remember that both the road district and the township was being sued for overaccumulation of funds. When we first came on the board, that was all going through the court system, and so there's been a huge change in the last 4 years.
Well, I noticed that townships are the only entity in the county that actually had a decrease, a significant decrease in their levies. And it was entirely attributable to this township, not any of the other ones.
So the numbers.
Right.
Also needs to be remembered that because of that lawsuit, the law has changed. There were no rules for overaccumulation before before that lawsuit was filed.
But if you go back, that lawsuit still is pretty phony, not phony, but it doesn't protect the taxpayer standpoint very much, because you can have 2.5 times what you're gonna spend in the fund balance, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, okay. but
Just think,
it was-
if that was, if we weren't knocking these numbers down here, just think how much money would have been in the fund balance here.
Yeah, right, but
So
that was just a guideline that they came up with to prevent any more lawsuits.
But
right?
don't protect the prior boards, they didn't have to get in those kind of numbers, okay? There's accumulation of money here down over the years that was, it's absolutely disgraceful.
Right, okay.
And it
but
showed up in that
that's-
situation.
That's not my point. My whole point was that level was set to prevent further lawsuits on overaccumulation.
No, it didn't. There still are lawsuits for overaccumulation of townships. They just get a little
Maybe
higher.
maybe that figure should be lower.
You can still do it, you can still hide different things if you go back. All you have to do is appoint, well, I want to spend some money and build these buildings, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can hide that money stand, okay? That was a point there that was pretty much embarrassing, that we had that kind of money sitting here, and there's a lawsuit over it, and somebody found it, look at it. The same thing happened at Harrison School. Harrison School, you're part of the school district, you never come to those meetings over there.
No, I don't.
But we took all that money out of the transportation fund. I know we're getting off this budget here, okay? But you got all these taxing funds, and that goes on and on and on. But Harrison School had an awful lot of money in that transportation fund.
So are we going to see a reduction from the Harrison School levy?
It went down, you just didn't notice your tax bill.
I didn't notice that.
Well, you should have, but you didn't pay attention.
I didn't do it.
But I know you're one of the people that said, well, the townships are
we
just a
getting
small
off
part,
track
and you didn't know
here?
about what's going on there.
Why is the clerk talking?
We're supposed to be talking about the budget, so, okay.
We are talking about it in a general sense.
Okay.
And the law wasn't changed because of anything Mchenry Township did or didn't do that was already in the works, okay? There are other townships far more egregious over accumulations. That's why they got the bump, okay, which really screws the taxpayers in those, in the whole state. Well, the part of the state that still has townships.
Okay, are we done talking about the budget, Joe? Okay, let's have a motion to adjourn.
No, I think,
Board comment, I'm sorry.
I think you got another spot here, don't you, on your agenda? Board comment.
Board comment.
I think we already had that for last hour.
After this meeting, maybe you should talk to the clerk and tell him that he's not part of the board if we don't need his
And neither are
discretion
you
into
gonna
here.
be in 2 weeks.
Clerk, please refrain. Okay, Bob, anything else?
No, I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 3:03.
Okay, all those in favor, say what saying aye. Aye.
Hold on, 1 second. Are we done with the budget meetings?
We
We're not
are.
going to have another, I mean.
No, it'll be on the, I'll
We're
make those
finished.
changes, the 20% changes is all you're asking for. And it'll be on the, it'll be in our,
Right. So
our
the
last meeting.
next meeting is going to be the regular
Correct.
meeting. Okay. Then, yeah, we can move along here then.
Okay, so we have a motion to adjourn, do we have a second?
We have Stan.
Who was the second?
Stan.
Okay. All in favor,
And you
signify by-
voted, and you voted. All in favor, aye. That's
We did, but I didn't be interrupted during that vote. All in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays, none heard, meeting adjourned.
3:04.
I wanted to ask you a question, but now I forgot. Everyone have a good day.
Well, write it down on a piece of paper.
I know.
What?
It's not in Harrison School.
Yeah, Stan is here.
Oh, I thought he lived in Waterloo.
He lives in the village. He lives right across from Lutheran Church. But
okay. I thought he
no, I know where he's at.
Okay.
I just wanted to let him know about all the crap he throws here, that tax bill went down significantly, believe me.
Yeah, good for you guys.
But, Anyway, see you, Mike.
Well, you
So
gotta
now
be-
he's in there. He's
you gotta
right
be
across the
proud.
Lutheran Church, huh?
You got the school district and the township.
That's my goal. I'm not,
I don't understand. I don't care.
this place is sinful with the money